In the line of fire, PERVZ MUSHARRAF. Second part, Omar and Osama. Our Director General of Inter-Services Intelligence also stressed to Mullah Omar that both Pakistan and Saudi Arabia had sincerely supported the jihad in Afghanistan against the Soviets. He said that his earnest advice to Mullah Omar was either to expel Osama from Afghanistan or hand him over to the government of his native country. The Director General also told Mullah Omar that Osama links inside Pakistan were a source of great concern. Dissuading from Osama would facilitate recognition of the Taliban government by other countries. Mullah Omar surprised both the Prince and our Director General by responding that he had made no promises to Saudi Arabia. He was effectively calling the Prince a liar. He launched into a litany of his own woes, complaining that his government was under tremendous pressure, that no other country would offer Osama asylum, and that he faced a threat from Iran, which was supporting the Northern Alliance against the Taliban. He complained that the Saudi government should have helped him at this critical juncture. Instead, it was adding to the pressure on him over Osama. The Prince had remained calm till this point. Now he lost his composure. He pointed an accusatory finger at Umar. This did not go down well with Mullah Omar and the 20 or so raw Taliban guards in the room. Suddenly, Mullah Omar stood up and stalked out in fury. One of the guards following him, Umar returned a few minutes later, his hair dripping with water, his shirt and sleeves drenched. I went into the other room and poured cold water on my head to cool off. He told the Prince, "If you had not been my guest, I would have done something dire to you." Umar proposed the formation of a council of Islamic scholars from Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia to decide Osama's fate. He bitterly objected to the presence of American troops on Saudi soil, which was also one of Osama's complaints, and said that the Muslims of the world would unite to liberate the kingdom. He said that this older generation of Saudis had a great deal of self-respect and would never have allowed American entry into the scared land. He accused Saudi Arabia and Pakistan of giving him only 1% support in what he called the Osama crisis. He said that he had obtained a written promise from bin Laden not to violate the Taliban trust by involving himself in any militant activity from Afghan side. The prince became even more enraged and accused Umar of insulting the Saudi people. Saudi religious scholars and royal family. He would not tolerate further disgrace. He said if the Taliban ever entered Saudi Arabia with nefarious intent, he would be the first to fight them. Then he got up, gave the salvation was salam and left. Now it was Mullah Omar's turn to be shocked. He has been playing to the gallery, his guards and others. Taliban around him. He asked what had happened. Our Director General of Services Intelligence replied that it seemed that the prince did not wish to continue the discussion and had left for the airport. But Mullah Omar still did not comprehend that he had made an enemy out of one of few people who could have truly helped extricate the Taliban from the mess created by Osama bin Laden's presence in Afghanistan. How do you negotiate with such a man? He was and is still caught in a time wrap, detached from reality, but we could not simply abandon Afghanistan to the Taliban by withdrawing recognition and closing down our embassy in Kabul. God knows that the Taliban give us enough cause. Once they burned our embassy and beat up our ambassador, who had to be flown back to Pakistan on a stretcher. One of the worst things the Taliban did was to blow up two gigantic historic statue of Buddha that had stood for centuries in place called Bamiyan. When Umar first threatened to do this, the world could only turn to Pakistan to try to persuade him to change his mind. Virtually, the entire world had made the mistake of not recognizing the Taliban regime and establishing embassies in Kabul. I had propounded a different approach, asking several important world leaders to recognize the Taliban so that we could put collective pressure on them to change. If 70 or 80 countries had established embassies in Kabul, we might have been able to exert some influence on them. I said, so the President Bill Clinton and to then Crown Prince, now King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, and to Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan of the UAE. Crown Prince Abdullah was most critical of Mullah Omar and called him a liar. I can never damn a liar, he said to me. I hate liars. So it was left to us to try to persuade Mullah Omar not to destroy the statues. When we went alone to negotiate with him on behalf of the world, we found him to be another wavelength. He said that God wanted him to blow up the statues of Buddha because over the years God has caused rain to create huge holes at their bases with dynamite could be planted. This was a sign from the Almighty that the statues were to be destroyed. Mullah Omar paid no heed to us and tragically destroyed the statues. Again, this projected an image of Islam as an uncaring and insensitive religion. Mullah Omar actually did a great disservice to the religion that he holds so dear. It is all very well for us to say that Islam is nothing of this sort, that it is in fact a very progressive, moderate and tolerant religion, which indeed it is, but why should the people of the world bother to go out of their way and spend their precious time to explore the authentic source of Islam? They are going to judge Islam by the utterance and actions of Muslims, especially those actions and utterance that affect their lives directly and not by the protection of academic and moderate, no matter how justified. After 9/11, I was absolutely clear in mind that the only way to avoid the wrath of the United States again, Afghanistan and Taliban, was to somehow get Osama bin Laden and his followers out. My foremost concern certainly was the direct adverse effect on Pakistan on the United States military action against the Taliban. The key to Afghanistan lay in negotiating a surrender of extradition of Osama. We initiated a dialogue immediately, realizing fully that the window of opportunity was very small. The United States and the world now realized how useful Pakistan's existing diplomatic relations with the Taliban were. My earlier strategy of maintaining diplomatic relations with the Taliban in order to try to change them from within was vindicated at that moment. Had there been numerous embassies in Kabul and had they put collective pressure on Mullah Omar against Osama, maybe we would have succeeded. The impact of 9/11 was lost on Mullah Omar and the Taliban. It was God's punishment for the injustices against Muslims. Mullah Omar said God was on their side and Osama bin Laden was Superman. Thus negotiating with Mullah Omar was more difficult than one can imagine. It was like banging one's head against a wall. We have two entirely opposite worldviews, whereas I believe that one must exhaust every avenue to avoid war and the death and destruction it entails. Umar thinks that death and destruction are inconsequential details in the just war. Like all those who believe in an afterlife and regard temporal existence as transitory, religious extremists like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda believe that death, the right death, is of the title consequences. During them became martyrdom with paradise granted. The problem is how to agree on what is a just or holy war. People like me hold it as an cardinal principle that the leader's first duty is to protect his country and to life and property of his people. People like Mullah Omar believe that worldly possessions, including life itself, are secondary to their principles and tradition. One of those traditions is the protection of anyone who has been designated a guest. Osama bin Laden and his followers were guests of Mullah Omar and the Taliban, and therein lay the different difficulties. Try as we did, we could not persuade Mullah Omar to let go of Osama in the window available before October 7, 2001, the deadline imposed by President Bush, who told him that his country would be devastated, but he did not understand. He really believed that American forces could be defeated. In this, he was misled first by Osama bin Laden himself, but also by other misguided religious thinkers, even in Pakistan. The United States started its massive carpet bombing of Afghanistan on October 7, simultaneously with the land offensive with the Northern Alliance. After a brief organized resistance, the Taliban commanders fled to the countryside and the mountains, where there are best guerrilla warfare. In the first week of December 2001, Mullah Omar, sensing defeat, escaped on a Honda motorcycle and went into hiding. Once, when Prime Minister Koizumi of Japan asked me about the whereabouts of Mullah Omar, I told him that Omar had escaped on a Honda and added jokingly joking that the best advertisement for Honda would be an advertising campaign showing Mullah Omar fleeing on one of its motorcycles with his robes and beard following in the wind. Mullah Omar has not been heard from this since. I am very sure he must be in and around his original base at Kandahar in southern Afghanistan. I say this with reasonable surety because of two facts. First, ever since he came into the limelight in 1994, Mullah Omar has not once visited Pakistan. How could he be comfortable in our country? Second, today, the Taliban strongholds are the southern provinces of Afghanistan. All rural areas and most cities, they are under the influence of the Taliban. They also dominate most movements at night. Mullah Omar would find it most convenient and safe to live and hide with his followers in his own area, which he knows so well and where he is welcomed by the local population. It has been suggested by the senior leadership of Afghanistan that he may be in Quetta, Pakistan. This insinuation is ridiculous and may even be mischievous. Had he been in Quetta, he would have been caught long ago, like so many other former Taliban office holders. However, as the war progressed and the forces of America-led coalition and the Northern Alliance pressed on against the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, many of them escaped and crossed the border into Pakistan tribal region and city. This caused immediate problem for us because Mullah Omar is still alive and free and the Taliban are by no means finished. Some romantics believe that Mullah Omar has inspired his people by refusing to bow to the America. It is easy to think this on a full stomach and in the comfort of one's family and home. But if one were to ask an Afghanistan to choose between his family, home and hearth on the one hand and his self-esteem on the other, I am sure he would choose the former.